You're listening to The Bon Ray Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or ITV.ie. The Bon Ray Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today, Thursday, so we're talking about EU and what was our independence and the mess. So let's start off with what our constitution was, to remind ourselves as we head into the presidential election for Ireland with Michael D, who is a disgusting part of this globalisation with our horrific government destroying our country for the EU. He and most of the candidates are EU puppets. The only one that I would say everybody get out and vote Casey, because the government can't stand him, so that's a good vote. And if not, vote for Freeman because she said no to abortion. But get out and take Michael D. Higgins out. Now let's start off to the most Holy Trinity, Father, Son and Holy Ghost. We the people of Ireland dedicate our constitution and beg the guidance of the Holy Spirit that it may be in consistence with the divine will and contribute to the greater glory. Amen. And this is why they want to get rid of blasphemy laws. Our constitution was very much written. Now let's talk about we've lost our independence, our sovereignty. Like we just need to break down this government, and we need a new government in. I mean, we look at the Battle of Rome, which was absolutely disgusting. If you look at the Battle of Rome and Brussels, which is the unelected EU has rejected Italy's own budget. The Italian Prime Minister, who was voted in, elected leader by the unelected people. I mean, it's quite shocking that this can actually happen. Like, it means that it is not a nation anymore, it's a colony. It belongs to the EU. They can't even set their own borders without the EU saying we don't like that. And let's be honest, what is it about? It's really about Brussels putting down their feet and showing them who's best. It was a cut of taxes. So they were sent away to produce another load of taxes because they were cutting their taxes for the EU. This is insane. But what's the real issue? The EU is throwing its weight against Italy for voting in an anti-immigrant and anti-EU government to show Italy voters who is really in charge and who's really in control. Along with Greece and Ireland, they did this. They threw their weight. Now Ireland has become their good slave. They're probably the best slave now in Europe. They just lick the floor every day for the EU. They have no backbone, no will, and no wanting to be free. They're actually so happy being slaves now that the 700 years of persecution, our heritage and everything has been, oh, that's fine because we're in the EU. We've got something so much better. We can lick the floor of the EU and they can tell us we're very good. And that the Irish government has sold us completely out. They're quite happy. But there is other countries in the EU, thankfully, that have backbone. And one of them is Italy. So this won't go down quietly with Italy. They were told to countries who to defy Brussels. So anybody who defies Brussels, they will come down. Where France and Germany are the heroes, they are completely who seem to be in control. We're left off the hook for overspending for 3 years. Hungary Orban, now he's another warrior, and the only one who he has no problem standing up to the EU. He says EU, which is EU Brussels, want a Europe without nation states, a stateless elites, multicultures, paradise of George Soros. He says, let us not give in to the blackmailing and to silence us. Notice the EU, everything, they're going on about May at the moment, because obviously the British defy the EU by trying to get freedom, which is not allowed. They're undermining nation states and constitution for the European Empire and their Christianity identity. So anybody like this is one of the reasons why Ireland wants the law brought in about the law that we're bringing in with the presidential election. Well, we're banning gone there, but we're banning to speak out about religious which has never been an issue. So we've always identified as a Christian nation. So they want us and every other nation who identify a Christianity to go. So our blaspheming laws, that was the word I was looking for, they want that gone because that identifies us as still Christians, which George Soros and the EU elites do not like Christianity. So they want all of it broken down. That was the main reason of bringing in gay marriages and killing of babies, murder of babies through bullshit, and the Irish lapping it up. And it's so sad that so much of our population is so brain dead and brainwashed to not see this is happening in front of our eyes. And not just to us, to anybody who tries to stand up for freedom for their country. And a lot of them want to be slaves in this country, which I find quite shocking. I talked to some of these leftist nuts. They don't want to be an individual state. They don't want to be Irish. They want to be this diverse, as if there was something wrong with being Irish or being French or German. They want to be, and a lot of the leftists in Europe, they want a Europe without nationality, without identity, just this mixed of whatever. It's quite shocking that they're all can see what is wrong or what is disgusting or disgraceful about all these people who fought for freedoms are now kind of going, oh well, we might as well just hand it over to this EU to run us all. And particularly Ireland, we are like the best little slaves that the EU could have. Since the time we stood up once and then we were whipped down and told the Lisbon and Nice never to behave like that again, or, you know, you will be living on the streets forever. And the Irish behaved. Although we are still living on the streets, but we're still very much coming, are we good enough today? Are we good enough this year? We're very much the lapdogs. And that was the only time we stood up. We're not like Hungary, Poland, Italy, Austria, who have come out of the light and said, you know what? I love my country. I love being Hungarian. I love being Polish. I love being whatever. I'm going to stand up for my people and my rights. I'm not going to give in this easy. Where we keep voting in these little slave lapdogs that absolutely do not mind Ireland being crushed to the ground. And being told that we're no longer Christian, we've no values on life, on the old, the young. Well, Hitler won the war. And it's very obvious to see that it is so disgusting that Ireland has no love for their own country. It's so. I mean, we should all, as Orban says, it's a natural order for the specific nation to be born where they're born. So it's a natural order. That's the way it was set out, and that's a very much Christian ideology, where we're trying to get rid of all that ideology. It doesn't matter where you're born, you can just change your nationality, your identity, your ethnicity by breathing in the air, and then you can just claim you're from there, although you have no bearing, historic links to that country, or heritage, or culture, or common anything to do with it. But apparently we're all the same. There's no culture, heritage, anything matters. And that's what it is about breaking down the natural order of what God had sent, the natural order to be born in a specific nation. Once a nation directed by those nations that were not elected, by those nations. So the EU wants to directly control the nations, not by the elected leaders, but by Brussels bureaucrats. Europe is a mix of nations, and warned that the dangers of mixed societies. There's more and more soldier-aged men arriving into Europe, and are pushing European natives residents into a minority, purposefully, so they do not defend their borders. Pro-migrant politicians and multiculturals, mixed populists without nations. Threats against Romania, Slovakia, Italy, and attacks against Hungary and Poland for standing up to their nations, for standing up to for the EU, standing up for their countries. It's quite shocking the way this has all gone. The number of homeless in Ireland. Now, this is something we talk about Ireland, go back to Ireland and our great slavery that we've become. Like, we're so much the third most in debt country in the developed world. The number of homeless children risen by 136 in 1 month. 3 families in every single day last month became homeless. Last 88 families, 193 children in September. We're very much in the midst of homeless crisis, says Ian Murphy, despite numbers of social houses being built. Yeah, but where are the social houses? Who are they putting in the social houses? They're not putting in the Irish. They're putting in, because they're good little slaves, they're putting in the non-Irish, mostly black and Africans, because they don't even want the white, not even the Irish, but they don't want white ones that should be even taking in the South Africans. They are fast forwarding blacks and Muslims into these homes. It's absolutely shocking. It's disgusting that so quickly we have fallen into a mindset of slaves and think that this is good enough. And then when you argue with politicians that why are you putting non-Irish into these houses that you build, they say, oh, well, the money was from the EU. As if that's okay. So it's just disgusting. 193 children in September became homeless. So three every single day. 3 families last month. It's just disgusting in the midst of the homeless. So Ian Murphy says, even though the social house is being built, but as I explained, they're not being built, it's very easy to stop the homeless crisis. Stop the migrants coming in. Stop it. Absolutely stop them. No more. I actually start sending them all back instead of all this bullshit. He's Chinese, he's this. We take in so many homeless, it's ridiculous. We take in so many homeless, or so many migrants into this country, and we don't have the spaces for them. And nothing is being thought about that. They just push to to bring them in. 250,000 asylum seekers last year. 250,000 asylum seekers. That is why we have a homeless crisis. At one point they were talking about putting the Irish on boats. Now they have an idea of putting them in cabins. Wooden cabins. While the non-Irish are, if they're black or Muslim, are given our homes. Like, this is just crazy. They were also at one point thinking about putting them in the provisional centres where they have the migrants right now, the direct provisional centres where they have the migrants. So they were suggested, and this is a real suggestion, this is how messed up and great slaves the Irish are, that they take all the migrants out of these direct provisional centres and put them into Irish homes. And we put the Irish into these direct provisional centres. And their idea was because, you know, these migrants are not happy in these direct provisional centres. So it's just not enough freedom for them. So they'd be much more happier if we take them out. But the homeless crisis, so they'd be better off being housed, or they'd be better off with a roof over their head so they go into the direct provisional centre. It's like insane thoughts. Like, I don't know why we have become so good slaves for the EU. There is no backbone. There's nobody fighting out. I mean, they've even stopped talking about Brexit because I think somewhere in their stupid little minds that they must know it's happening, but they think every now and again, oh look, England is having a little demonstration with George Soros, all paid by George Soros to have another people vote, even though Cameron had promised the British there will be no other vote. This is your vote. This is the one time in your life you will make a decision that nobody will take away from you, even though Juncker had said to him that he should have let Juncker get involved in it and the British wouldn't have voted out. Like, disgusting thoughts. This is the EU. It is pure Nazism. Exactly. They tried to break Poland, Hungary. Exactly what Nazism is. This is the EU. And we are so slavery. We are in slavery right now. But the Irish are so stupid or brain dead that they can't even see the blasphemy laws. It's nothing to do with that. When was it last used, ask yourself? Have a look at Father Ted. Have a look at many other things. Why are they? They want to break down the Christian state. Look at our constitution and see. Why? Because it's stated to God first that we were a Christian nation. And they don't want that. They don't want that from Poland as well, which was another very Christian state. Any of the Christian states, they want to break. And we are the test country because we're a small little population. It's very easy control. We're very easy to become a minority in our own country, which we have. And heading very fast. You look at Dublin and certain towns in Ireland, and the Irish are a minority. Dublin city centre and many towns around the country, the Irish have become a minority. So they will not fight for their independence or their sovereignty. Yes, they did for 700 years. Proud nation. Now they're being called, if they even try and open their mouths or even have a second thought, they'll be screamed down in pubs or social settings that they're bigots, racists, fascists, and that they're, you know, like Hitler, although the left is what Hitler's party was. It was a social democratic party, apparently. Well, not apparently, it was a social leftist party. So that's what happens if you try and talk anything about independence, sovereignty, defending your borders, safety for your children, protection of your heritage, your homeland, your culture, your ethnicity, your race, anything like that, you will be shut down and silenced or shut. They will try and shut you down and shut you up, whatever way and however they can, because there's so many good little slaves that seem to be working for the EU here. George Soros has his hands covered in blood in this country. He seems to have paid all of them off. Bono, most of the government. Sinn Féin seem to be in his pockets as well. They seem to be getting very well paid. She took the one who's running for president. She took 200,000 from the EU. She got 200,000 from the EU, and that's without expenses. Reardon, New Reardon. So, and she's running for president, mind you. Michael D. Higgins is just as bad, so we're just swapping her for him, which he's disgusting. But I think she's pretty much just the same as him. He was caught with pictures with Soros. Casey or Freeman? Go for Casey, because the government seems to not like him, so that's always a good option. If the government seems to be having issues with him, then there's something right about him, and I'd say go with Casey. My first instinct was to go with Freeman because she voted no, but the government doesn't seem to dislike her as much as they dislike Casey, because he's going against the globalist agenda, and he's talking probably about wrong things, and but the fact is the government doesn't like him, so therefore he's going to get my vote, because there's something very good about, if Leo doesn't like him, there's something good about him then. Thank you for listening on the Bon Ree Show. Today is Thursday. We're talking about the disgusting EU, and hopefully pray to God, and I will pray to God, that the end of the EU is coming shortly, before all our countries are destroyed in Europe. Pray to God that this ends, and then we get our own country back and our own government for our own people, and we start it again, and then we remember who we are as people, and our heritage and our culture and our ethnicity. If we have to go back to hedge schools, then let's go back. We start a country within a country. Let's do that. Just let's stop this madness of the EU dictating to all of us in Europe. And stand with the countries that are standing up to this dictatorship. Standing up against Hitler. Because Ireland, you've become slaves. You're an embarrassment. You go in there and you thank them for kicking the crap out of you. It is an embarrassment. Our governments are disgusting. An embarrassment. At least Poland and Hungary stand up to them. Ireland, they're thanking them for kicking the shit out of them. Greece and Spain were kicked the crap out of as well. I mean, they're both gone into silence, but Ireland is almost like thanking them for being kicked the crap out of, for not being able to even stand up after the kicking they got. And all Ireland does is thank you. At least Greece and Spain haven't just got up and just stayed silent after their kicking. Thank you for listening on the Bon Ree Show on Thursday. If you have any questions, you want to talk about anything, again, just write in, call in, itv.ie or irishnewsradio.com. So let me know if you need to talk about anything, or if you want some music, or you want a discussion, or you want any questions answered. Write in on the Bon Ree Show. Thank you very much for listening.
You are listening to Irish News Radio and irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.